Hey there and welcome to the Tim Waxelbaum Show. My name is Tim Waxelbaum and this is episode 48 of the program. This is a series of podcast episodes recorded by me at my home in my house in this great state of the United States. In one of the great states of the United States. As you could see, if you're watching the video version of this program, I am not using a green screen this week because there's a little bit of a bug problem in my house, and I just don't feel like having a bunch of fabric around me that could potentially have a, venomous, eight-legged fucking asshole. Let's not even call them assholes. Fuck them. They're not even worthy of personification. Call them You know what? I'm just going to call them by their freaking species name. El recluse. Those fucking El recluse cocksuckers. Are still, that's why I'm not using the green screen. I don't have to really go down a deep rabbit hole on that subject so far. So you can see a little bit of my house. This is what my house looks like. Hey, I wasn't lying. It's a house. Not a lot going on there. There's a couch. There's a couch behind me. And an armchair, and they're both the same color, and that's about it. I should get some art. I'll get some freaking art. Anyway, also, for the first time, hey, I decided to switch things up a little bit in a different way, too, in addition to the green screen. I'm also standing during this episode. Who the hell does a podcast standing up? I don't know. I've never seen it before. I guess the closest I've seen to that, I've seen a live podcast where the host started out the podcast by doing a little bit of stand-up. So never mind, that doesn't count because that's not podcasting. So this is the first time ever that anybody out of the millions and millions of podcasts that somebody's done it standing up. And I think I'm going to do it. But also, does it really count as standing up if I'm pretty much the same height as somebody who's sitting down? Not really. So I guess that's why it's a little bit easier for me to get away with that. Because if I was 6'7", it takes a lot of work to balance out that much mileage on your fucking body. On your fucking elongated, tubular, fucking parallel connection limbs. Okay, see, have you ever seen a giant, like a 6'8" plus motherfucker? That's about the height where people start to look like giants. I'm glad that I'm a munchkin. I'd rather be this and look at least not like a freaking giant. Like when you see a dude who's 7'8" and he's bumping into shit on shit that you're not supposed to even be able to reach by jumping it. They just hit their head. They just walk into pipes and shit. And I was looking at this TikTok of this dude, and he's just giant, but he looks like a the only thing about him is that he's so big that even if you don't even need to see him compared to anybody to know that he's big, because his features are so enlarged that they just require it's a different perspective that causes this weird feeling that you're looking at a creature instead of a human. Because their eyeballs are they're freaking huge. Everything, anytime they do anything, they're just walking, they go, oh, I got something in my eye, and then you, as a normal person, is looking at this thing, going, for you, it'd be nothing to just scratch your eye, but they just go, and you just see, dude, there's something unnatural about that, man. It's your jaw. It's you gotta exert so much calories just to live. or else they just rot away. You gotta eat more calories if you're 6'9". Because otherwise you're gonna just be too, skinny. You gotta keep up a lot. That's just common knowledge. That's just basic nutritional math. Yeah. So if you, I don't know. I'm not jealous of those people, man. Those big motherfuckers that gotta eat like 6,000 calories just to not be underweight because they're so fucking tall. They gotta eat like 4 burrito bowls from Chipotle every day. Just thinking about that is freaking appalling, man. I don't even eat any Chipotle burrito bowls anymore, man. I used to eat like 1 or 2 of them. Yeah, I would polish 1 or 2 of those per day, and that would probably maybe fill me up for a whole day, maybe not. But I don't have Chipotle anymore because that place isn't that exciting. There's better places. Tex-Mex. I had a taco place tacos earlier tonight. And it was on a blue tortilla. I've never seen that before. They got blue tortillas. Anyway, it was good, and I don't know. So it's been a big week for me. How should I start? What's the topic? Okay, usually I just run through topics that I've been touching on in previous sods and doing like an update on such topics. So that's what I'm just gonna do for this episode. It becomes easier the longer you do it. You could fill time by repeating the same shit over and over. Just be like, okay, remember how I said I was doing this? Well, I'm gonna talk about it again for about 20 minutes this time. Okay, another new thing is I got this freaking fidget cube because it's 2015 again. Yeah, all of a sudden it's the year 2017 or whenever these were huge. The reason I got it is because, I just discovered that I have ADHD. I just found out I have ADHD. I was diagnosed with it about 18 years ago, but I just found out I have it because I forgot. That's what happens. It was somewhere in the back of my mind, deep down, not even in the back of my mind. It was somewhere buried in my brain, but not in my mind. Like I wasn't thinking about it. It was just in my memory bank. Like, yeah, I guess I had ADHD as a kid. I was diagnosed with that, but that's all I ever. I didn't care though. I didn't ever really take it seriously. I still kind of am skeptical, to be honest, that it's a real thing. I mean, it's a real thing. Like, people definitely have. If you believe the theory that it's caused by, like, some just deficient, like, something about your brain is just not able to generate as much dopamine as other brains. So who cares of what the cause is or what the actual mechanism is? It's probably a real thing. But or it could just be a form of autism that involves not wanting to do anything with your life because you don't believe in that it's worthwhile, and you just don't have the executive function, which is a fancy word for just wanting to do shit and being able, just like, it's not that you don't want to, it's that you physically can't, because it would take so much exertion, more than the average person, to do pretty much any given task, except for jerking off, taking drugs. We're good at that. And overeating. And did I mention sex? Yeah. We're good at that. We're good at impulsivity. We're good at putting out fires. We're good at being like first responders. Like in an emergency, yeah, we're good in emergencies because that's fun. That's like a drug, It's like, oh, someone's getting shot right now. Oh boy, what do we do? Fight. You either pull out your gun and shoot it back, or you get the hell out of there, because I don't think you have any other option if you don't have a gun. If you have a knife, maybe. You could charge at him with a knife. So anyway, executive function is, just the ability to do fucking shit. That's it. It's like, okay, I want to do this. I gotta do this. It's important. But it's for example, I'm talking about ADHD people. We look at tasks. It doesn't matter how important they are or if we want to accomplish these tasks. It's just we can't if the task is not super stimulating, man. Like if it's not like every bit about it gives you that dopamine, that feeling of novelty, like, oh, this is new, like this is it. Okay, if that's not every single task that we ever do, it's probably not gonna get done. So that's why ADHD people have like shit piled up all over their house, all over their car. My house is clean because I don't like that. I don't like having clutter because that would just make it even worse, It's easy to accumulate clutter. So, at least I'm not that severe, I have pretty bad problems. Like, for example, I have not been able to take out the trash consistently. I miss many weeks of taking out the trash because I just can't bring myself to set an alarm to take it out in the morning and then bring it back in like 8 hours later because they take forever and sometimes until the next day. So it's a 2-day process, 2-part task. Gotta go out there. I don't know why it's so hard. It's because it's really one of the easiest tasks. One of the easiest household chores is to take out the trash. For me, it's pretty hard. And same goes for pretty much any other task. This podcast, for example, used to be pretty hard to get myself to do, but once I started, it's like, okay, I got into it, and it takes a while to get into it sometimes. Right now, this one actually, I had a day of today that was very up and downsy, I guess. So like I had to do the most boring errand, and it's not that it was stressful, because it would have been stressful if I was not on speed, but it was still like, ugh, I don't want to do this. Like I'm doing it. I mean, I gotta do it. I'm getting it over with. But there wasn't that dread of like, ugh, because I'm not good with situations that involve newness, and I don't know, it wasn't that big a deal. But yeah. So my cat, my Miata, that's how I'm going to pronounce it from now on. I'm not even going to pronounce the I. I'm just going to say Miata. Yeah, I got a Miata. Yeah, so they replaced the oil, and they rotated the tires. It drives like it's brand new. When I turn on the thing, when I turn the car on, it makes a cleaner engine sound than it did before. So that's good. It's very fun to drive, and I'm going to probably drive it in sports mode more often than not because it's safer to have a little bit of extra acceleration at your disposal, because you really need to be able to sometimes quickly accelerate if you're like in a tight lane that's being merged into somebody else's lane and you don't realize, like, oh shit, I gotta speed up or else I'm gonna get cut off the road, and that would be bad. You like if you're already kind of at that point where the lane is merging into somebody else's and you're just realizing it, yeah, you gotta make a quick decision. Usually slowing down, that would be a bad idea because you'd be blocking the other car at that point if you're already in their lane a little. So you have to speed up. That's usually the best thing to not piss people off behind you, is just speed up. Especially if you're just changing lanes into the fast lane, you want to speed up to the fast lane. Either way, it doesn't matter how fast you're going. There's going to be somebody right behind you riding your ass because this is Texas and everybody's the main character. If you're in front of me, you're a problem. You're evil. I mean, I'm the main character. So if you're in front of me, I'm going to get right on your ass. So yeah, it's about 40%. Probably like, yeah, I'm being a little bit generous. It's probably more than that. But yeah, about 40% of drivers in Texas should not be allowed to be behind a wheel. So they're not a safety. They're not safe to be around. I don't even know if they're even on drugs or on alcohol. I think they just don't know how to drive, and they just don't want to know to be a good driver. They don't care. They don't have any concept of like other people or the protocol or like safety. Anyway, so the Mata is good. I don't want to drive anywhere because that involves being around people that could ruin my day or ruin my life. So I kind of hate driving now. It's not that I hate driving the car. The act of driving is pretty nice. If you're alone on the road, come on, that's awesome. It's the fact that I got to share the road with like people who I wish died from COVID. Unfortunately, it wasn't strong enough of a virus to kill enough people for me to be happy. You know, it should have killed at least 30 million in America, not the whole world, just in America, 30 to 50 million. And then the roads would be a little better because that would be mostly like the top, like the worst drivers would have been the ones that would have been killed probably. I don't know. So I hate fucking driving, but you have to because I live in Texas and this is not a place that has like socialism at all. There's no like, okay, we're all going to pitch in and build, contribute to like a fund that buys a metro system or like, like trains, like buses and all that. No, it's all just one commercial. It's all just one government-led, I don't know, corrupt fucking entity that just does nothing but, like, the only infrastructure we have here is roads and taller roads and wider roads. So many types of roads. That's the one type of infrastructure is roads. So that's it. We don't have like water treatment plants. We don't have police. We don't have like a 911 dispatcher. The only infrastructure here is roads to get somewhere that has what you need. That's not Texas. So but that said, I can't complain because I wouldn't want to be where it is walkable. The only place that's even remotely walkable is like downtown, like just a sliver of downtown, just like the most dense part of the whole city. And it's hellacious. Nobody would want to walk around that place. Are you kidding me? Without a gun, definitely not. But even with a gun, it's like you could get hit by a car just by walking with the street sign, with the walk sign. Somebody's just going to turn into you. They don't like consider right of way. No, they're in their car. They are going to get to where they're going. They're not going to like make way for somebody else. So that's Texas life. And also, yeah, Austin is a hellhole, man. That place, a lot of fucking bad, like, not bad in the sense that they're like evil people, just bad, like, as in like failures. That's what they're called. That's what they are. They're failures. Anyway, but it is a good city because it's so accommodating. It's in the same way that it's, for the same reason that it's bad, it's also the reason that it's kind of attractive to certain people is because they are so non-judgmental here. You could literally just be like a freaking dude just wearing a diaper walking down Congress Avenue and just like being a weirdo or just being 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 stereotypically that's the good thing about this city, is that you could do anything you want in terms of expressing yourself. You can't just shoot people or have radical opinions. You can't be like a Nazi, but you could be a weirdo. So that's why I'm still going to stick around for a little bit. Also, there's some industry here for show business. And if you're even a little bit better than average, actually, is that true? Better than average? I think you have to be a lot better than just average to get somewhere. I guess what I'm saying is average here is really, really bad. The average person who comes here to pursue showbiz is worse than anywhere in the country. There's more talented people in Bismarck, North Dakota than Austin, Texas by per capita. That's because Austin attracts a certain delusion that is unparalleled. This place, for some reason, has more white rappers than anywhere in the world. And just by not being a delusional white rapper or female comedian that plays really predictable, corny songs on a guitar, if you're just 10 times better than that, which is not hard to be, you will go far. If you're just 50 times better than that, which is so easy to accomplish, just believe in it, don't be I don't know, I guess it is hard for most people because that's why it's the way it is. But that's because of the delusional fact. If you just reduced all the delusion and took away all those fucking losers, there'd be 12 comedians in the whole city. 12 actual comedians that are not just chasing some pie in the sky. I saw someone on TV do that and I want that to be me. And so that means I guess I am capable of it since I want it so bad. And it's nothing. Nobody's ever told me I'm good at anything, but that's not going to stop me. Why would that stop me? So if you're not that, if you're actually just a tiny bit talented in a real sense, people will be unless it's I guess I'm only talking about stand-up comedy. I'm not talking about music because there's a lot of mediocre musicians here that are. And by mediocre, I mean pretty good. They're pretty good. They could carry a tune and they sound pretty. They have a developed voice a little bit, a developed play style. They have a couple cover songs that they do. They're like a lounge act. That's pretty much everybody who lives here. Everybody who lives here could get away with being a lounge act because they're just, for some reason, the level of musical talent here is pretty high. But for comedy, yeah, there's about 12 people who are on the right track. There's about 12 people who are not lying to themselves. They're actually okay, yes, you are not wasting other people. You're not wasting. You're not just a seat filler. You're not just dead weight. You're actually contributing something to this art form, or at least we see that there's something in you. At least, for me, they saw that there's some potential for something. I don't know. I think, I have a long way to go before I could say that I have established myself here, or anywhere. In Chicago, who gives a fuck about? Yeah, I was never established anywhere else. I was respected in a small, but that's the most pretentious. I guess it's not that pretentious because 99% of people who pursue stand-up don't ever get anywhere. They don't ever like become professional, let alone like famous or whatever, like let alone rich and famous like Tom Segura. Pretty much 99% of them will not become working comics, and I am part of that statistic. I'm part of the 99%. I'm just doing it. I look at it as a hobby, and I used to actually kind of be a little bit uncomfortable with that, calling it I used to take issue with that because that hurt my ego to just be like, yeah, just how dare you call this just a hobby? I'm gonna be fucking. Are you kidding me? This is how you become the most important, relevant thing that'll show up on Yahoo News or some shit. You'll be knowing who I am. What are you talking about? Hobby. This is like the coolest. This is something that you wish you could do. So anyway, I actually got a little bit soft. I softened up a little bit, my ego. And now I actually only look at it as a hobby because it costs money. And that's it. It's a thing you do for pleasure to get better at, but it costs money. And so it will take a long time for it to pay me back. To break even on all the Ubers that I've spent who knows how many tens of thousands on Ubers just going to open mics to sharpen my ability. But the reason it's not pretentious to say that, oh, people respected me. As gross as that is to say, there is some merit to being one of the funnier people in a comedy city, like especially a big one like Chicago. That's one of the biggest comedy cities. So if you're one of the most lauded, like, okay, he's one of the funnier ones, like just being one of the, being accepted, even just as like, even like just funny at all is so fucking like, you can't take that. I can't take that shit for granted because so many people never even get there. So many people like fucking bang their heads into the fucking microphone for 20 years and they just get older and older and look sadder and sadder and they never figure out that they're not funny. And I do take it for granted that I'm funny sometimes. Like this professional comic once I was hanging out with, I was like super drunk, but like I don't even remember what I said. But he was like, hey, that's funny. As if I like needed to be like he didn't laugh. He was just like, oh, that's funny. And I was just like, yeah. So anyway, like I just moved, like it's like, dude, how fucking like patronizing. You think just because I'm not like on Jimmy Fallon or whatever fuck talk show he was Jimmy Kimmel, just because I don't suck his cock? I don't know what a fucking joke is. I don't know how to fucking make a joke. It's like, yeah, we're all funny. Oh, just because I'm not part of the fucking business, because I'm not successful at the thing that I am trying to do. Oh, that means you could just talk down to me. Anyway, so there is something to be said for just being good at it. Like, who gives a shit if you're not? Like, even just, who cares? Like, even just doing it for fun is kind of worthy of an experience. Because if you're really good at it, which sometimes I kind of feel like I am when I'm really like locked into it, it's so rewarding that it's just like you don't really care about the money, and also there isn't, so you shouldn't care about what there isn't any of. The most I've ever gotten paid for a comedy gig? I don't remember. 2 figures. It's in the 2 figures, okay? Does that mean I'm only worth $20? Well, yeah, right now, the market, yes, that's what I'm worth to the marketplace. But I have the potential, I know, to become a true, act, like a professional. I know that it's somewhere in me possible if I worked at it. And I think that kind of bleeds into the main theme of the past few episodes, and also the topic that I already started talking about, which is executive functioning and ADHD, the ability to carry out actions that you want to do, but you just can't because it causes so much fatigue. Like, just to get out of bed and take a pill and go back to bed, just to get out of bed. So any little thing, it's like excruciating for us. So it's not about wanting to do something. It's not having the power to do so. And so the solution for ADHD is some sort of treatment that usually involves pills. And we'll get to that soon. Let's go on. Let's just continue down with the topics at hand, because this is a very pre-planned episode. I have a lot of things to cover. This will be a long episode, and we're still in the intro, and that's kind of weird. Okay, first update of the freaking thing. Sober update. I am not sober. I'm doing Adderall. But I'm still sober from alcohol. It's going to be about 1 year next week. I'm a week away from 1 year sober from alcohol when I crashed my Tesla Model 3 on the highway in the middle of the night. I think it was like 2 a.m. or some shit. And I just left it there. Nobody got hurt. The car didn't survive, unfortunately, and I got a new one. That was the supercar that I've talked about 1,000 hours worth on this podcast. So anyway, I'm about a year sober from alcohol, and that's good. I don't think I'll ever go back to alcohol because I got Adderall now, and that's way better to abuse. So anyway, so the recluse update, I know that this is probably the topic that people are going to skip forward the most of, unless they just have a fascination with pests and spiders and, creepiness and venomous, shit that, I guess that is kind of interesting, but, it's also kind of gross. So I finally pulled the fucking trigger on hiring a pest control expert for the inside of my house. I already have one for the outside. I got a guy that comes every quarter to spray for, like, mosquitoes, but not the inside. So what triggered me to finally pull the trigger on this is that there's still a lot of juvenile brown recluse appearing in my house. None right now, none at this very moment. I don't see any at this very moment. It's possible that I could, because this is the exact time of the night that they're usually out. And last night, or 2 nights ago, I guess, I stumbled upon one just as I was putting my shoes on just over there, and it just kind of flopped out, just kind of appeared. I don't know if it came out of the shoe. I think it may have been in the shoe. Not sure, though. And it was, instantly I knew it was a fucking brown recluse. Didn't have to look close. I knew it was a spider, and it was, of course it's going to be a brown recluse. Because that's the main species that is inhabiting my house. And I am getting pretty good at recognizing what they look like. And they're getting bigger. They're getting big enough where it's pretty easy to tell that that's what they are. So I hired a fucking pest guy. And he came by and he was like, "Oh man, this place is so out of the way. I don't even know where the hell I'm going." I was like, "Yep. Not sure how that's my problem. I live where I live, and you're the closest, best-rated company available to me. So come on in, buddy." So anyway, it was not that awkward. That was not the bad part. The only thing about it that I probably should have been a reason to not hire him is that he thought the thing was dead. The one that I showed him is right over there. It's on a glue trap, and I had to catch it manually. I didn't wait for it to walk on it. I had to put it in front of it and, kind of coax it on it. And then it immediately got stuck, and it stayed there until the next day. But that doesn't mean it's dead. So this dude immediately, picks up this living brown recluse, puts it on my counter, which I was not particularly comfortable with, but that's, I wasn't going to say anything. And he's looking at it for a solid fucking 45 seconds, and it's the most silent, awkward. It's like, okay, so are you going to say what it is? Are you going to tell me that it's a recluse? Because I was like, yep, this is it. And he was just staring at it, trying to take a picture of it. And I was like, so what are you doing? Are you identifying it or documenting? He was like, well, first I'm trying to identify it. Because I can't really tell. It looks like kind of like a wolf spider because the legs are all smushed and scraggly. And I was like, yeah, it's, nah. Yeah, wolf spiders are totally, they have stripes and they're fuzzy, totally different. It's like, that was not very good. They didn't know the difference between a recluse. Like, so why did I hire this guy? So then, but I guess he seemed like he kind of knew he at least knows how to treat the fucking things. Like, he may not know how to identify them when they're babies. Okay, fine, I guess. But I feel like that's kind of like, I feel like he should at least know the difference between a recluse and a fucking wolf spider. And also, he should probably know that maybe it's not dead just because it's on a glue trap. I was like, because he told me, hey, so yeah, when they're babies, when they're that small, they actually are more dangerous. That's when they don't know how to control their venom. So if you get bit by that, you're definitely gonna get like a huge fucking wound. And I was like, really? Even that? He was like, well, not that. That one's dead. And I was like, what makes you so sure about that, buddy? I just caught it last night. I didn't say that, of course. I just fucking passively was just like, yeah, okay, but what is that? I just fucking was very polite. But in my head, I'm like, damn, this guy fucking is not acting the way I would think an expert on this would act. Anyway, but he seems like he knows enough about him. Except for how to identify them and if they're dead. But, I'm used to kind of knowing more about things, I guess I'm getting used to knowing more about the thing that I'm hiring somebody to do for me. It's been that way with many things that I've hired people for, and I guess that's just part of being high IQ. I don't know, it's part of being a Jew with a high IQ. It's just like, once I hired a lawyer and he gave me information that I didn't agree with because it went against something that I just knew that it wasn't right, and like it turned out it wasn't, and like, they're not going to be like, oh, sure, you're better than me at my own job that I charge $450 an hour for. That's funny. Anyway, I'll see you next week. I'll send you the invoice next week. Yeah, they don't usually like act that way. They don't like usually like say that. But I'm pretty good at like research and stuff. I'm pretty good at like finding out shit. So yeah, I'm pretty good. I know what a fucking recluse looks like. And I did show him a picture of the adult, the one that I first discovered and talked about a couple months ago. I showed him a picture of that one, the adult, and he was like, yeah, that one is definitely a recluse. I was like, okay, thank fuck. Because if he said that was like a wolf spider, I would have told him to get the fuck out of my house. Anyway, so they're going to treat them. And he said the house is pretty well sealed. He's like, this is a really, really nice, really well sealed house. So you're actually, I don't know, there's not that much that has to be fixed. They just have to fucking lay down the chemicals like every 4 months, every 3 months. It's not that expensive. It's like $150 for the first one and then $75. That sounds too cheap to be true, but so it's probably more than that because nothing's that cheap these days. Nothing's that cheap these days, man. Anyway, so that's the update on the brown recluse. Haven't been bitten by one except for right here. I do have a tiny little weird little dot that I don't know what else it could be than some kind of insect or arachnid bite, but it's not necrotic. But knowing what I know, I do believe him when he said that they can't control their venom. So anytime I'm walking in this house without sock, when I'm just barefoot, I'm pretty much risking my feet. I'm risking the health of the well-being of my feet if the lights are off. That's pretty dumb to do. But it's something, it feels pretty like cool to like be amongst something that could inflict that much of a wound on me and just not even being that traumatized by it. Because when it first started happening, when I first started seeing them accumulate in these traps, which it actually turned out to be the case, they actually did start showing up en masse in traps. I guess I slowly started to get desensitized to them. And when I saw that one that was pretty much almost on my body, I obviously freaked out for a couple seconds, but then, after it got caught, it didn't take long for me to go back to being normal. It's like, yep, that's just another brown recluse. It's not even the first one that I saw that day. So it's fucking, I guess I'm just becoming more of a man. Because nobody likes a fucking man that can't handle, gnarly shit. Like spiders, like shit that takes fucking ball. Like shit that people don't want to deal with. It just takes fucking grit, and you just fucking have to do it because somebody has to do it, and you don't have to complain about it because I ain't gonna fucking make you look any better. That's what a man is. A man is someone that just fucking deals with something absolutely horrifying and doesn't complain. They just go, yep, I dealt with that. And then that's what makes women fucking wet, is a man that takes care of gnarly shit. It's like, how the fuck did you deal with something so fucking disgusting? Well, because I'm a fucking man. All right, you get it. So I'm a fucking man. If I saw a big one, I would absolutely freak out right now. Like I would still freak the fuck out if I saw a big one. Not really. I mean, it's just that they're so fucking creepy, man. Like these fucking brown recluse, when you see them walk, just by the way they walk and the way that their legs are fucking like inward, the way that they're like segmented and like fucking skinny and like, there's nothing about them that's appealing. And jumping spiders are like dessert compared to those. Like when I see a jumping spider, like which are pretty damn big, like they're pretty big, it's like, oh, it's a friend. You could come in my house. Actually, I wouldn't want it in my house but I like seeing the jump. I don't know. Actually, fuck jumping spiders. Fuck all spiders. I don't actually like any spiders. But I'm becoming more open to the idea of not wanting to eradicate the entire genus of arachnids. Because it's not just spiders that I fucking hate. It's all, not even just arachnid. It's all arthropods. This includes lobsters, crayfish, roly-polies, anything that is the same thing as a bug, anything that is the parent. Arthropods are bugs. It doesn't matter if it's a sea creature. Like people joke about how lobsters are like the roaches of the sea. Well, yeah, they are. They're literally insects. There's nothing about them that's not. They're just big insects. They have the exact same autonomy as the small kind, just scaled up. So I don't like eating crayfish. I don't fuck with that shit. I don't fuck with crab. Those things have the same body parts as spiders. I'm not interested. I mean, I'm sure a spider would taste great if it was big enough to cook, So I'm supposed to eat that shit just because it tastes good? Nah, fucking the aesthetics is unpleasing, and I don't fuck with that shit. Cows are beautiful. That's why I eat them. Okay, we already touched on comedy a little bit about how most people are really like don't have that ability to produce comedy because it is so rare, man. Anyway, but I don't have much of an update on what I'm doing comedy-wise. I guess I did feel like I was ready to kind of get back into it. I had this nice eagerness. I came up with, 20 minutes of open mic material. Like just in one night, I just came up with like a nice I just got in this fucking writer's mood where I just couldn't stop. That's my style of writing. I guess I'm starting to actually think of myself as somebody who has a style of writing, which is fucking like pretentious as fuck, but like I've been doing it for 10 years, so I guess that's when it becomes kind of acceptable to claim that you have one of those. And mine is to pretty much get into a manic state. And this could take, I don't know what catalyzes it, usually some sort of substance or state of mind that causes me to have this lack of fatigue. And I have a rushing brain that has this, I just get into this fucking like flow state where I'm coming up with shit faster than I could write it down. And I'm sure there's other people who've experienced this. Like, but most comics that I talk to, they're usually writing pretty much like they try to like write they say you got to write every day, even when you don't want to. But I don't really enjoy I don't like really enjoy the process of writing. I only do it when I'm in such a manic state that it's compulsory to write down the shit I'm thinking of because it's so fucking clever that I don't want to like not record it because I'm gonna forget. I literally can't think of any of the fucking premises that I'm talking about that could equate to 20 minutes of open mic material. Potentially. That's roughly how much it feels like I accumulated just in that one session, because of the like you could tell if what you're writing is of quality just by how it feels when you think of it, because it feels so fucking fresh and new, because it's birthed from this state of hyper creativity that nobody else has ever fucking thought about that, has ever had this joke before, which also sounds fucking pretentious, but in some cases it's true. So that's how I write. I get into a manic state and I get into this flow state where it pours out. And some of it is obviously bullshit. A lot of it is high quality material that ends up in my act and never leaves because it's evergreen and always funny. And it just wouldn't have been possible to produce that level of creative content if I was not in a highly weird, like weird induced mental state that is uncommon. Like, it's not easy to get into that state. I used to be able to get into it a little easier when I was younger, just because I was, I don't know, more excited about it, I guess. I was more excited to for the next day. I don't know. As you get older, shit gets old. Shit gets old. I was able to get into this state earlier in my open mic career by just, drinking a bunch of booze and smoking some weed. And I would play guitar in my mom's basement before I moved out. I would just get super high and drunk, play some guitar, sing some songs into my iPhone, and that would wake up the creative juices. The flow state would awaken. It takes a while. It doesn't just happen in 2 minutes. It takes sometimes hours. But then it just builds up, and it's like you reach new tiers of creativity. It's like you start getting a little creative, and then a couple hours later, you're still going. You're still pumping out these fucking jokes, one not after the other, but multiple at the same time. You think of one, it's like, okay, fuck, I gotta remember that. I gotta just write that down exactly as you thought it. But then another one pops up before I could even finish writing the first one down. And if that ain't creativity, I don't know what is. You gotta have an abundance of it if you want to find even a tiny bit of quality material. Because, of course, when you boil it down, all that crude so-called, it's not material, but just, notes, I call them. Yeah, just notes. Could boil down into, not that much material. A couple minutes, maybe? At the very most, a couple minutes to be real for a show. Open mic material is by that I just mean like, yeah, it would work at an open mic without fleshing it out because, okay, it's funny enough to work at an open mic, but it doesn't mean it's finished and ready for like a show that people pay like $30 a ticket for. So anyway, so that's how I do it. I have no idea what I came up with. I had something to do with Jews and how they're worthy of being anti-Semitic towards, which is pretty much every joke I've written in the past 3 years. But it's a new take on it. And also gay, hating on gays, new take on that. I'm getting better at it. I'm not getting better at not being homophobic. I'm being better at expressing my homophobia in a way that the other people accept and admire. Like, for example, I was watching the live feed for ACL, which is a music festival, and as soon as I started watching the feed, I heard one of this audience member just be like say something gay in a gay accent. And for some reason, it just caught me off guard because I wasn't expecting it. Like, I was tuning in to watch a specific performer and only that performer, not some random person in the audience that was happened to be close enough to the microphone of the camera. I don't know how the hell that works. Why would the microphone be by the camera? Shouldn't it be closer to like just the... Shouldn't it be coming from the mixer board or something? I don't know. But it was the most generic gay accent. Like, oh, Carol. Like, it was just the most exact same accent that you've heard since 1990 or like, you know. And I think that's what bothered me about it. Not that he was gay, just that he was gay in such a flamboyant cornball way that it's like, I didn't need to fucking see that. It's like, get out of here. That's not what I fucking needed. I didn't need to know that was there. That like, ugh. Like that's just not, and you know, that's of course, that is like a homophobic thought to have. It's like, oh, I guess, why is there like a gay guy in the feed? It's like not that I thought I had no problem with gay people before this. But as soon as I heard that, it's like, oh, maybe I don't like them. Ugh. Maybe I don't like them. But I thought about it more. And it's really just that I just don't like that really fucking like hack accent that people have. And it's not just gay people that I'm talking about. It's just any fucking dialect or accent. All I wanted to do was watch fucking Carly Rae Jepsen as a straight male from the comfort of my home, and I get subject to the most... Anyway, it was worse than that even. So I thought about it, and it's really just that I don't like that cheesy fucking grating accent. If you're just gay... but you talk normal and you don't just copy other people's way of talking, then I'm fine with it. You could do whatever. You could be gay. I like dicks. I even like dicks. I don't want to suck them, but I don't really like get offended by them, like in the right context. I think they look better than some vagina. Like a lot of penises look better. Like, they're round. They have like a nice aesthetic to them. They taper off at the end. You know, there's like a battering ram. It's just pleasant to look at. It's like a silo. You know. So I don't hate gay people. I guess I hate some. No, but I just hate like people who just do the same shit as other people. Like they just absorb these social mores, these norms that to blend in, to just fucking fit in. Women are really good at it. Women as a species, are more conformist than men. And I guess there is data on this. I don't know. On risk taking. Excuse me. Sorry. I usually don't. Sorry. I ate it. Sorry. I'll edit that out. Anyway. Women are good at conforming to societal expectations. Blah. I don't know why, but they are. And they prefer to blend in, or at least verbally. I mean, let's face it. They like to blend in every way possible. They don't like. There's not a lot of women that like to like stand out for some reason. I don't know. Like they all wear the same fucking shit. They all are the same. They all travel in packs, and like not any one of them seems different than the other. None of them stand out. There's okay. That one would be the one I would fuck. That one would be the one I would marry. I wouldn't fuck her, but I would marry her. Anyway, they're better at like copying ways of speaking. I wish we could go back to the 50s when women just talked like how they talk in old time movies and like in radio with that transatlantic accent. That was way better than what the fucking vocal fry shit going around now. It's like, okay, and today we're going to downtown. How do they do it? I'm trying to give you an example of the fucking banal, like accent that like professional, that not just anyone can use, that just they steal, and it's so fucking boring, and it's one of the reasons why women aren't funny. I was going to say as funny as men, but like that's being a little bit generous. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. They're not funny compared to fucking anybody. Of course they're not funny compared to men, but they're not funny compared to fucking anything. They're not funny. And part of it is because they're fucking the same. They're samey. Like when a woman goes on stage, you don't expect something weird to happen. You don't expect them to have like a cool take on, like they don't have like a funny, like random. Of course there's exceptions, and there's some funny, like zany women that are like eccentric and that actually I would consider funny. I'm making like almost sweeping generalizations. I'm sweeping except for a few dust bunnies. But, the living room is pretty much going to be free of any dust, in my opinion, if we're talking about if women are funny. So anyway, that was a pleasant thing. That's going to win a lot of people over. I don't know why I even got on that subject. I guess I just like to talk shit sometimes about reality and how reality is not always fair. Anyway, so that's the comedy update. I guess I'm booked for a show on the 15th, so I guess I got to find out if the show is indeed occurring, because I was booked a couple months ago, and I quit comedy since then, so I gotta make sure they still even want me. I'll call them. I'll message the guy. I'll tell him, hey, I know do you remember so is this show still going, first of all? Okay. Second question, is it okay that I quit comedy? Can I still do it? Okay. Yeah, I'll just get out of retirement just for that one show. Yeah, maybe it'll make me want to do more. I don't know. Yeah, so I'm not going to practice. I'm just going to go up there and be confident. And I'll probably do better than most of the other people on the show, because this is Austin, Texas, not exactly the most talented place for comedy. Holy crap, am I an asshole? But it's true. I could just go up there, fucking wing it, and they won't even fucking care. Who gives a fuck if you're winging it? Just be funny. Have confidence. Confidence is great. It's better to err on the side of confidence than to not be confident. It's better to be overconfident than underconfident, I think. Because even if you're cocky and overconfident, people still kind of want that in their back pocket. Like they want it in their team. For example, Trump. He is extremely egotistical and arrogant and narcissistic and confident. He's not always right about everything he says. I don't know if really anything he says has been right. Doesn't matter. That's not why people like him. They like him because he's confident. He fucking wins. He's not exactly a loser as much as he calls other people losers. Pretty paradoxical. Pretty funny that somebody that's not a loser is calling other people losers. It's usually losers that call other people losers. No, this guy's like one of the most successful people, top 100,000th most successful person of all time. And he calls people losers on a regular basis. There's something about that I like. There's something about that you want that person on your team, even they're a narcissist. Why wouldn't you want somebody to take that looks good? Like, not that he doesn't look good all the time, but like he wins. I don't know. It's not like I have to explain why people like Trump. I mean, if you're watching this, you probably at least voted for him. Doesn't mean you like him just because you voted for the guy. He was just a better option. It's like either a narcissist billionaire or a decrepit Alzheimer's patient who fucking molests kids. Okay, yeah, which one should I pick? And that's going really great. If I voted for Biden, I would be pretty embarrassed. I would be like apologizing to Trump supporters. I would be going to bumfuck Idaho, and I would look for the closest Trump flag, and I would ring the doorbell of that person's house, and I would go, hey, I'm just here to let you know that I noticed that you have a Trump flag. And these past 2 years have indicated that he would have probably been a little bit better of an option. Maybe the economy wouldn't be the way it is. Maybe there wouldn't be a war. Maybe a lot of other things wouldn't have happened. Afghanistan, I don't know, just all these like domestic supply chain issues. Why is food twice as expensive as it was a year ago? Expensive. I would say that to them. I would say I voted for Biden, and I'm here to get my punishment. Like make what's the atonement? I'm here to receive my atonement, and I would proceed to strip my clothes and just walk into the nearest main city, into this main street of the town, and just walk and have people pelt, crap at me and barf and vomit and piss and vinegar as I walk naked and in shame. And people would be jerking off in front of me, Anyway, yeah. Not that. And I've told that to people, because when I was, vocally supporting Trump in 2020, people, it comes up. They're like, oh, man, this election, I can't wait for Trump to get out of office. Can't you not wait for that too, Tim? And I would go, yeah, sure. No, speak for yourself. No, of course not. He's better than, you kidding me? I think it's the sane option to vote for Trump. I feel like it's kind of not that more insane. I feel like it's kind of half and half. It's pretty much just as insane to vote for him than Biden. How's he less? And whatever. It's not worth even rehashing this, because the people that get into these debates are the dumbest people. At least they make me feel like they're dumb. They just can't handle anything that involves logic. They go, oh man, Trump is so bad. He introduced all those tax cuts for corporations, man. That's so bad. And I was like, why? Because of corporate greed. How do you not see how that's What are you, a Republican or something? You don't see how corporate tax cuts are fucking evil? Are you fucking a Republican? Oh yeah, but how are they evil? Because of corporate greed, man. Corporations are just people, man. It's just people hoarding money, and if you tax them less, they're going to just have more wealth being hoarded, not going to anyone else. I go, oh, is that how it works? Is that how corporations work? They don't pay their employees? They just pay their employees the minimum, so they don't care about, like, you know, getting quality work from their employees. They don't want to, like, make sure that they're properly compensated. You don't think a tax cut would allow them to pay their employees more, maybe hire more employees? Maybe that would help unemployment. Maybe it did. Maybe that's why their, like, unemployment was, like, super low. Because, like, maybe that's why. Like, yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, no, unemployment's low because of Obama. Corporations are greedy. I was like, yeah, but what about what I just said about, like, how it frees up more capital to spend on employees? And then that's where the conversation usually ends, is go, no, that's okay, bye. It's like simple logic versus indoctrination and dogmatic bigotry. Wow, I'm getting so fucking good at shutting people down. I don't even need them to be in the room for me to shut them down. I just slam dunked 200,000 talking points, or the combined talking points of 200,000 people, but it's actually the same talking points. But that's how fucking good I am at arguing with liberals. They don't even need to be here. I already know what they're going to say. They don't know what I'm going to fucking say. They always try, like, oh, you like this, so you must like this. It's like, well, that's not how, that's actually not how everybody thinks. Yeah, you probably think a certain way, and that means you also think this way because it's a framework, it's a patchwork that you subscribe to that you cannot break away from. As soon as one of the fucking patches fall out, the whole thing goes away. Like if you just say, oh, yeah, I'm a liberal, but I don't think we should be allowing late-stage abortion or some shit like that. What's a better example? Like liberal. Like I'm liberal, but I don't think we should let everybody into the country just for showing up. Just because I don't think we should just have open borders, which is the least controversial thing. That's a good example, I think. But it's still so... Yeah, no, it's a great example because most liberals would never fucking endorse that. They would never say the common sense thing. Yeah, we should enforce the borders. That's what a country is. The definition of a country is a landmass separated by borders. A nation involves borders, I think. So anyway, of course, we should enforce immigration laws. But if a liberal says that, they're no longer a liberal. They're like a Nazi, just for wanting the whole point of our country to be a thing. So it's like, did I gain IQ points, or did the whole world just lose about 55? Because I'm pretty sure you don't have to be a genius to come up with what I just said. Okay, I think that's enough on the political front. One more thing. Okay, so I got a text from some Beto fucking rando automated text message saying, hey, you gonna vote for Beto? Beto is gonna introduce all these communist things, like increasing the minimum wage and expanding Medicaid. I don't give a fuck about those things. I responded and I said, is he gonna do anything about the getting insane, incompetent drivers off the road and investing in public transit instead of more inefficient highways? Which I think is a pretty valid question for the governor to be asked, but they didn't respond. So I don't think I'm going to be voting for Beto. But I might, actually, because, you know, this Abbott guy is such an old school fucking crusty piece of shit. He's not exactly like a forward thinker, and I don't see him like doing anything good except for maybe the legacy things that I guess are still kind of valuable that only Republicans uphold, like immigration laws and other laws that already exist that are usually upheld only by Republicans, or at least promoted by Republicans. You don't see liberals promoting peace and law and order is what I meant. Law and order, So am I going to vote for Beto? Maybe. I mean, it's like a Democrat in a Republican state can only do so much damage, So it's not that crazy. I know it sounds insane coming from me to say I'm going to vote after ripping on gay people to say I'm going to vote for one of them. But I'm a smart person. I've thought this out. And just because I leaned one way one time doesn't mean I'm leaning that way all the time. It's like, that's the difference between smart people who actually know how to craft their own views on shit and just people who just want to press the subscribe button and not actually use their head. It's just a club. It's just, okay, I'm in this club. Okay, this is the rules. Don't break these rules. It's not about thinking. No, it's for fucking racist people. Anyway, so I'm a racist because I think. And that's it. I'm smart enough. It's not even something. It's just like openness. It's not about being smart. It's like, it is a little bit about, obviously it correlates with intelligence. To be open-minded enough to change your mind about things that you used to think before very, like I used to be a pretty strong liberal. I used to think what people think now 20 years ago. When I first started getting into like politics and like being like, okay, Democrats are probably the ones I most support. It's because they seem like they're more scientific. They're more scientific. They were not as. I didn't like anything about Republicans. I was afraid of them because they actually like did hard work. They actually like went to war. They actually like raised families, and that shit sounded way too real for me. I was like, no, I just want to smoke pot and be a fucking loser. So I'm probably a Democrat, I thought. And I was. And at that time, it probably wasn't that unreasonable to be a fucking Democrat. I mean, Obama, it was pretty cool. I don't know if he did anything good, but like, same with Trump. I don't even know what the fuck he did. He signed a couple peace deals in the Middle East and like North Korea, like something like that, but I don't fucking care. I don't care about the politics. I care about like how funny he is on stage. Can he command a room? And so that's enough on politics. Let's do a finance update. Okay. So we are currently in a recession caused by Donald Trump, the 45th president of the United States. He single-handedly is responsible for the economic climate and the chip shortage and rape and murderous people in the streets. He's responsible for people that sell. Anyway, I don't think I would vote for Trump if Hillary runs again. If Hillary runs against Trump, of course I'm voting for Hillary. Out of irony, dude, that'd be hilarious. Not that you have to vote anymore. Everything's automated now. It's just like, okay, we decided. Like, of course, I don't know if I believe in like the widespread, conspiracy against the election results, but something about it definitely seemed fishy. Like he couldn't even win Georgia. There's something fishy going on if he couldn't even win Georgia. Like there's no way. That wasn't. And wasn't there tapes of like a lot of really, really influential people, like super powerful billionaire people, and Nancy Pelosi like saying that we got to do something to prevent him from being elected? And like, so I don't know. I'm just saying like something about it just seems fishy. And he's an old motherfucker, dude. Like he's old. So I hope somebody more interesting shows up. Like DeSantis, he's cool. He's obviously the popular one, but something about him doesn't seem right to me. He seems too robotic. He's never smiling. He's always like, yeah, I'm a serious politician. I'm actually doing the job. I'm actually doing what people want me to do. Fuck you. I'm not going to smile. But so I don't like that about him. I don't like that he takes his job seriously. You're not supposed to do that in politics. Trump was not serious. Are you kidding me? I'm going to vote for a politician? No, I want to vote for a random dude who just happens to decide to be a politician for fun. I want to vote for somebody who does it for a living, the most fake job. Just being fake is your job. Nobody who becomes a politician cares about policy. It's all about power. Power. Not policy. You think Bernie Sanders actually gives a fuck about fucking medicine, like free healthcare, socialized healthcare, and the wealth gap? You think he gives a fuck? No, he wants power, dog. Same with that. I mean, come on, you can't see through that shit. He's who cares? He's like 90 years old. Anyway, finance update. We're still in a recession caused by Donald Trump, which I already just to reiterate. And so what rich people do during a super bearish time in the market is we get excited actually because we're already rich, so we don't give a fuck that it's down. It's like, okay, we already got rich last year, so now everything's on sale. It's the time to buy shit at a fucking discount, so when it goes back up, we'll get even richer. And it takes absolutely no thought, takes no effort. You just buy as the prices go down. You just keep buying. If it goes down more, hey, great. I guess that's even more of a discount. You never really freak out that it's going down if you're already kind of figured out the game, if you already figured out the wealth game. All being wealthy is just figuring out where to allocate your assets. Like, okay, should I deploy some of my fucking money into this mutual fund, or should I put it into, I don't know, fucking oil or gold or some shit like that? All being rich is that. Just being like, okay, where should I put my money now to minimize risk and to maximize return? Because once you're fucking rich, your money will work for you and you will never have to work. You just live off the dividends and you don't touch the fucking principal. You only skim off from the top. You don't touch the ossified bone that makes it what it is. That's irreplaceable. That's for life and death. Anyway, so finances are going great. Recession, schmession. Keep buying cheap, low expense index funds. You don't have to fucking buy individual companies. That takes a lot of time and research to figure out the exact time to buy and sell them. There's so many other ways to make money in the stock market besides just buying and holding. But the laziest and most consistent way to do it with big amounts of money, like once you hit several $1 million, do you really have to trade anymore? No, you just buy and sell low, high. You just buy low, sell high. Once you hit the $10 million, $50 million mark, do you really have to make these high-risk trades? I mean, you're going to be making good money just by the average return of the market. So it just becomes so much easier. Unless you have a radio show where you defame people for a school shooting, claiming that it didn't actually happen, and you have your fans harass the people whose kids were killed in a fucking school shooting, then you might lose every little fucking penny. So just don't do that. Like this right here that I'm doing now, there's absolutely no positive. that could come out of it. It could only hurt me. Yeah, some people might like it and follow it and be my fan, but like financially, it could only ruin me if I say something defamatory about somebody, which I of course I like to do. I mean, you know, I probably have done it on this very episode, maybe. And so I think that's a good place to cover to stop on the finance update. Chris Rock, I saw a clip of Chris Rock opening for Red Hot Chili Peppers at the Apollo. Very weird, very strange. Like the only reason they had him is because he's black, obviously. He's a black comic. That's what the Apollo is kind of famous for, right? Def Jam? Or Def Comedy Jam? Is that what it's fucking? I don't know. But it was just weird. Like, okay, Chris Rock is opening for a very white band. And it was awkward because the microphone stand was in front of him because he had his own microphone, but there was another microphone stand with a mic in it in front of him. So it looked like he was an open micer. I was like, is that even Chris Rock? Like, yeah, I guess it is. It sounds like him. And he did one joke about the Queen like being dead. Like, she died of a nana. She died of being 94. I don't know. I can't do Chris Rock, but like I could do a generic black guy. And it got barely a laugh. And then he was like, well, anyway, here's Red Hot Chili Peppers. And it's like, damn, why the fuck is Chris Rock doing that kind of gig? He's doing he's doing warm up for the Red Hot Chili Peppers, a band from 40 years ago. I don't know when they're back. They were big in the 90s, whatever, 80s, 90s, 2000s. It's crazy how they're still popular, man, because like they're not that fucking good. Like they're good, but they play the same fucking songs they've been playing for 30 years. I guess it's not that much. 20 years, 15, 20, whatever. All the same fucking set lists. Can't Stop, you know, Under the Bridge, Other Side, Give It Away. We've heard all these songs millions of times, and they're still doing it. It's like they're in their 60s almost. One of them is in their 60s, and the rest are almost in their 60s, and one of them is 52. So they're pretty fucking old, and they still are fucking doing it, and that's great, and they're a good band, but like, Anthony Kiedis' job is not that hard. Like when he's not in the studio recording, because that is, of course, that's got to be hard. But when he's on tour, it's really just the showing up to the venue that's probably the hard part. Like his actual job of performing, it looks fucking easy, dude. It looks like the best job in the world. You get paid a lot of money to sing songs that you know how to sing because you wrote them. And they're easy songs to sing. Not to be a dick. Like, I'm very dickish on this episode. I'm very like critical to other people on this. But like it's not that hard to do that, what he does. He's not like that talented of a singer. Wow, okay, I am really in a holy shit. I'm not like even that. I'm not even like irritable. I'm not even like pissed off. I'm just saying mean shit to people about people. So anyway, Adderall, it makes you a better driver. If you have ADHD and you're just taking the therapeutic dose. One thing about ADHD that I learned is that you could test if somebody has ADHD just by how they drive a fucking car. You could put them in a simulator, and if they have trouble like staying in their lane, if they have to keep like fucking course correcting, that is a way to detect ADHD. That's fucking crazy. I didn't know that. I thought ADHD was just paying attention. I didn't think it had anything to do with motor skills. Turns out that's it. It just has to do with motor ability, motor function, like motor, the fuel that causes you to move your body around. That's it. It's like a problem with like performance and locomotion. So you could tell yourself, I'm going to stay perfectly in the lane but you can't because you have ADHD. So you're always like kind of like, oh fuck, I'm kind of slightly, I gotta course correct like every fucking second, and that takes a lot of fucking effort to do every time you drive, especially road trips. Can't imagine. So Adderall, I started taking it, and it makes me a better driver. I could just stay perfectly in my lane without any effort. It's like magic. It's like all of a sudden, just one hand on the wheel. I'm like, oh, I'm just locked into the middle of my lane. I thought that, I don't know. I didn't know it. I thought it was that hard for everybody to stay in their lane. I didn't realize that for most people, it's just like going like that. So I guess I have ADHD I guess I have it. And so I started on Adderall less than a week ago. As soon as I got it, I didn't take it as soon as I got it because I was not in the mood to be up for 24 hours. But I took it the next day. I took it at night, I think. I don't know fucking when I took it. Who cares? I took a tiny dose. I took half what I was prescribed, and it fucking worked. It came on very slow. So I was kind of like, yeah, it's not doing anything. I'm totally still just as immobile and like foggy, fatigued. I just wanted to just go back to lie in bed, not to sleep. 'Cause I can't sleep until I am extremely tired. I have chronic fatigue and insomnia. So if I'm going to bed, it's usually not to sleep. It's just because I have no energy to do anything else but lie in bed and read shit on my phone. Just shit that takes absolutely no effort. So that slowly lifted, and the fatigue was completely removed. After about 30 minutes, I think, I was like, oh shit, I'm completely awake. Not like in like a stimmy, like not in like a high strung, I just felt like calm and balanced and normal. And it was fucking amazing. And I started just cleaning up shit around the house. I swept out my garage. And I just felt how exactly it was described to me when I saw other people talk about how it feels. All the shit that you are stressed about, it just melts away. You just feel like, yeah, I could handle that. That's no problem. And you just get relaxed. That's how you know it's working, is because you feel this fucking like relief and like just relaxation. You don't have to take that much. It's a commonly over-medicated drug, over-prescribed drug. Overdose, the dose is way too high for most people. The doctor gave me 20 milligrams a pill, and that is way too much for me. I took about 5 milligrams, and that was enough to give me the benefits. I didn't feel high. I just felt normal. I can't emphasize that what you're really after with this medicine is not to get high. It's not to be like, yeah, I'm on Adderall, I'm going to fucking get shit done. No, it's to feel normal. It's to regulate your emotions and your behavior and your ability to be a person. It allows you to modulate your emotions. You just feel normal. I can't really explain it any better than that. It's not about adding anything. It's about removing the negativity. It's about getting you back to baseline, how normal people feel, neurotypical people. And I felt myself just becoming alive. I was able to just be outside and sweep out my garage and just not feel exposed and not be self-conscious of people looking at me like, oh, look at this weirdo. Who is this guy? Who lives here? This is weird short. No, I was totally calm. I wasn't like hyperactive, like, oh, I gotta get every little bit of dust. I wasn't like OCD, like Adderall can sometimes make you. No, I was reasonably medicated. I only swept out enough to make it be like, okay, job is done. You can go back in now. Don't have to be crazy. Don't have to go crazy here. So it was fucking good. It lasted a long time. And yeah, I take 5 milligrams. You don't want to take this fucking drug beyond the therapeutic dose because it fucking works. It doesn't matter what you're treating. It doesn't matter if it's ADHD, autism, boredom. It fucking is the most effective drug in the world. One of them. Like if there's a solution for ADHD, Adderall is the solution for at least a little while. The problem is people take too much and they start upping their dose because their body adjusts to it. And if you take too much of a dose, your body's going to have adverse reactions. You're going to feel like a zombie. So that is over-medicated, and you're also going to have a really bad crash that's only going to get worse and worse as you become more dependent on it. And it's really good to educate myself by watching people who've decided Adderall wasn't for them after they've kind of been on it for many years, and they realized that they were doing more harm than good in the end because they're taking too much. The problem, like the thing about it, since it's so effective, since it helps so much, the temptation to take it every day is pretty strong. It's really easy to feel it wear off, and you feel pretty bad. You feel almost worse. I don't know. I wouldn't say I felt worse after it wore off. Like today, like right now, I'm not on Adderall. It wore off, but I'm fine. I don't feel like I'm crashing because I only took 5 milligrams. So you don't want to up the dose, but if I can maintain a low dose, that would be great. The problem is, I don't think it's fucking possible. I think I'm going to get addicted to it because it's too good to just be like, okay, yeah, I don't need it today. It's like, well, yeah, you kind of do, though. If it makes you able to do things that you couldn't do it otherwise, yeah, you kind of need it, don't you? And then when it wears off, it's like, well, what now? I can't do anything productive for the rest of the day, so you got to take more. So that's the hard part about this drug. It's like the long-term navigating of this disease. Like it's not going to go, ADHD is not going to go away. So anyway, so Adderall is good for now. It's almost too good to be, I'm in the honeymoon phase of, so I got to watch out for that. I have full awareness that I will eventually get a tolerance if I take even a little bit more than I did. So, because when you're fucking with a chemical that increases dopamine, you're basically on the path of self-destruction, potentially. It's a slippery slope because what is the most abused drugs? It's the ones that produce dopamine. Maybe not heroin. I don't know what the fuck heroin does. I don't think it's just dopamine. I think it just feels so fucking amazing. But I don't know if that's dopamine. But anyway, cocaine, crack, meth, MDMA, cannabis, all produce dopamine, and that's why people love fucking with them. Cannabis is obviously the most mundane or benign out of the above. MDMA, not so good. Like you really burn out. You really can fuck up your brain for at least a little while. It might go back to normal. But like I heard there's somebody on YouTube, this guy who's like hi, I'm a recovering poly addict. I've been addicted to this and meth and this. But Adderall was my drug of choice for about 5 years. I don't know. And that really was his biggest, most harmful drug of choice that he was on, Adderall. The shit that they give to kids. Because he was taking it obviously for recreation, and he was addicted to it, and he loved it. He said it was great when it was working, but then the come downs became so bad that it was even worse than the come downs from meth. So I'm going to switch to meth if possible. Meth is way better because it has less side effects and it lasts longer. So that'd be amazing to be on that. There's other ones like Vyvanse, might be one to consider, but you need one that doesn't last that long. You need the long extended release, and you also need the instant release because you want to be able to take enough to only get you through the next few hours, maybe. You don't want to take something that's going to last the whole fucking day if you wake up late. So you kind of need to have these little extra little tricks. It's not a trick, whatever. It's going to be tough. It's just, I know it's going to be tough because it makes you better at everything. There's a reason people fucking abuse these fucking drugs, dude. Adderall will get you fucking insanely high if you fucking snort it. If you grind it up and snort it or inject it, yeah, you're going to get fucking blitzed. And yeah, you're going to get addicted to that feeling because it's, first of all, the most euphoric feeling in the world. And second of all, you feel more functional on it. And you are more functional because dopamine, not functional, let's not use the word functional to describe meth heads. But it does, it's the same fucking thing though. It's the same drug, it's just that you're not abusing it. You're getting the same effects, but you're using it for legitimate reasons. You're not using it just to get high and throw your life away. You're using it to do anything, literally just to live your life. And that's where I'm at. But since that's so all-encompassing, of course I'm going to be dependent on. Are you kidding me? Of course I'm going to become dependent on it. So I got to be really, really careful, man. But I guess it's cool to know that with this medicine, I might actually become something of myself. I might actually be a thing. I might actually be able to share my talents with the world. Because what was stopping me from sharing my talents? Well, wanting to do shit. Dopamine is the drug or the chemical responsible for getting your limbs to move. Without dopamine, you can't fucking move. So the more dopamine you have, the more you fucking move. That's why tweakers are called tweakers, because they fucking tweak, because they're overdosing on dopamine. So you're doing your body a disservice by artificially inflating that chemical in your brain, because then you're going to be inclined to do way more exertive movements than you normally would, and that could be damaging to your joints and muscles and anything else. So that's why I'm standing, because I am experiencing an excess of dopamine. So I could handle it. I could move around more. And I sang karaoke for about 12 hours after I first started taking it, and that was fun. I burnt out my entire voice almost. But it came back just a couple days later. Just a day later, it was almost completely back, because I rested it, and I found out that, a lot of singers, do lose their voice, even if they're professional singers. Because I'm not a trained singer, and a lot of, I think, professionals know how to sing properly without damaging their vocal cords. But I don't think so. I think a lot of them don't know how to do that, because Steven Tyler, he definitely abuses his voice. Yeah, he definitely doesn't sing safely. He sings in a way that could rupture a blood vessel, and that's exactly what happened to him. And the song, whatever it's called, Dream On, you're asking for trouble if you're trying to sing that song with full force. If you're actually trying to hit the high notes in that song, it has so much power. The notes are so fucking big and wavy, and So you have to use your full throat. And yeah, I could see how you could blow out a fucking blood vessel in your vocal cords if you do that and you're not like doing it safely. But that's also what gives him that raspy voice. Not just raspy, it's beyond raspy. It's like fucking like acid washed. His voice has that quality to it, and mine does too, because I also don't know how to sing, yet I do anyway for about 12 hours in one stretch, and that obviously causes a lot of damage. But it also makes your voice sound kind of cool, because it's like more like degraded and more stylistic. Like John Lennon, same exact thing. He also did irreparable damage to his vocal cords by singing Twist and Shout. You think that's like safe to sing like that? To like literally scream at the top of your lungs in that like he did it not the way I did it. He didn't do it with his nasal. He did it with his throat and his chest. Like he put it out, he put it all out there with reckless abandon, not giving a fuck about the health of his vocal cords. And that's what makes it sound fucking badass. But that's also why he wasn't able to continue to do that after a while. If you listen to John Lennon's later songs, he does not sound as cut, as crystalline as he does on the earlier songs like Twist and Shout, because he fucked up his voice. And same with George Harrison, he fucked up his voice too. I don't know how. His songs are not that crazy. They're not that intense, It's like, well, my guitar gently weep. Doesn't seem like that would fuck up your voice. But anyway, I'm going to continue to do that. It's fun. And I watched a clip of Anthony Cumia singing karaoke in his basement with a gun. And he has a great voice. And just seeing him do that as like a 50-year-old, it's like, okay, so I got a couple more years of that in me, where I could just sing karaoke as a 50-year-old man and still sound pretty fucking good. So give it up for Anthony Cumia. He's an absolute treasure, underrated comedian. He didn't always call himself a comedian. He's just he's a broadcaster. But he's an absolute top-tier comedian, and just the way he, like, even just the idea of, like, doing karaoke while holding a fucking gun, and he's like fucking like waving it as the emotional part of the song. He's like, hey! Like, has the exact same sense of humor as me, it feels like. I love the guy. I hope to meet him at some point in my life, and not just like in passing, like, oh, I'm a fan. No, I want to meet him as a comic that he would also get a kick out of. That's my goal, and achievable now that I'm on amphetamine. All I needed was a little bit of the most hardcore stimulant on the planet to feel normal, and I feel great. I'm off it right now, and I still feel fine. Do I have the same ability as, like, no, I'm not fully capable of doing like real work right now. I'm too tired, and actually, I probably could. I'm good at that. I'm fine. I'm warmed up. But the point is I'm not going to take a second dose, because then I'll start developing a tolerance and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, this has been a great episode. This has been episode 48 of the program. I hope y'all are doing great. I will see y'all next week. Peace, love, and happiness.